And there we go. And greetings and salutations, everyone. You have once again tuned into Global Recovery Today here at UBN Radio Network. I'm your host, Walt Lusk, and we broadcast every Thursday. What's today? Wednesday? Every Wednesday at 7:30 in the evening Pacific time. And you can catch us on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher as well. And, of course, here at UBN, Universal Broadcasting Radio Network. And, of course, with us in another undisclosed location is Tyson Elliott, who is the coordinator of, one of the co-founders and coordinator of Global Recovery Today. And it's a group with like-minded people dedicated to finding real solutions for addiction and its root causes. And I know he's got a special guest at his location. And so take it away, Tyson.
Yeah, so we have a caller, Walt, just to let you know, a past patient who's got an amazing experience to share with us, very unique. He had treatment and, like many people do, go right home. He didn't have time to commit to aftercare. And there's a fair amount of people that go home and because of circumstance, decide to pick up again. And he'll share, what happened with him. Then he sent his wife for treatment. She came for different issues, had an amazing experience. And then he came back, saved up money, came back a year later and got treatment and is now doing very well. So super excited to have Paul on. And yeah, I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing you, Walt. So you may want to get right up in the microphone. And it might be because I'm broadcasting from my new home in Lawndale, California. Well, my new place I'm renting now.
Your new digs. Yeah, I'm,
cool place. And so, yeah, we just want to try this out, see how this works.
Sure. The marvels of the digital age.
Yeah. I like coming into the studio. Well, you know that's awesome, but that hour to an hour and a half drive doesn't work out well for me. And then, it's a full evening of events. So maybe every other time.
I are the engineer. I got to be here. So, come on, join the fun.
Okay. So I really think that I want to start out with a few things.
Did you turn the fan? Did you turn that fan off?
Tools for people that are trying to soothe, calm themselves, self-medicate if they have high anxiety, because most of the time we're using drugs as a mechanism for coping with life, stress, any form of anxiety. We get, something happens and we get triggered, and that's the way our brain works. And when we have stress, it tells our brain you're in danger. Fight, flight, or freeze. The amygdala, the reptilian brain, gets active, and it does what's been called by neuroscientists or psychologists as amygdala hijacking. When that happens, there's a set of possible choices that become, reactive and without thought. And that, for many of us who become, addicted either to a substance or behavior, that's what it is, So some of the things we use to help lower anxiety, I'm going to pull out my Tibetan singing bowl. So this is really cool. If you've never seen
those are cool.
Before.
Yeah, they are cool. They're really cool.
One of these, Walt?
I have, and they're used in meditation too.
You did. I don't know if everybody, but I use this at the clinic. In the mornings when we get up, we ring the bowl, and I'm going to go ahead. That's what it sounds like, and then it also has the unique property of when.
You're gonna have to get closer to the mic on that one. Oh, there we go.
This bowl has an amazing sound.
Yes, they do. They do.
Vibration and sound is active, and it works through your chakra system, through your nervous system, and it can be very calming. When used in conjunction with 5-MeO-DMT during what we call a toad ceremony, what happens when you inhale the medicine, very quickly, within seconds, there's a period of time where cognitively your brain is fighting to hold structure and meaning, but this powerful psychedelic, meaning it permeates the blood-brain barrier, starts to break everything you think you are. Everything starts to drop away. It's really very much like death. And it's believed that this is part of the dying process and rebirthing process. I don't know about that, but it seems to make sense to me. But when people start going into this experience, and I'm ringing the bowl, or at the very beginning when I line their chakras with this prior to a toad ceremony, then as they're having the experience and coming out of the experience, I'm ringing the bowl again. It creates a harmonic state that they can recall. So the very next day, we'll be having a morning check-in in group, and we do meditation beforehand. We ring the bowl, and it vibrationally takes them back into the state in their body, and they remember that experience, and they can very quickly and easily drop into a very calm state. So this is one of the more powerful tools that I use. The other one, I'm going to show you that this isn't one that I use very often. How can you tell? I bought this like 3 weeks ago.
Yoga. It's a yoga mat.
Yeah.
I even know that is.
One of my shows, I was out in the desert with Luis at his healing center.
Yes,
and
do recall.
Cox. And by the way, guys, ever since I left, I haven't touched a cigarette. So I've been off now for, what is that,
about a month.
Months? 2 or 3 months?
At least, yeah.
Seems
Cool.
like forever.
Cool.
No craving, no compulsion.
Awesome.
I'm back to where I was, before I started smoking again. And I was only on for about 5 or 6 months since, 2 years before that, I had done Ibogaine very specifically for cigarette smoking, and it was very effective. But I show the yoga mat because it is not only an intention of mine, it's something that I'll get back into, and moving has really kept me away from developing a practice. And that really is the most difficult part, but a very critical part to maintaining overall health, which is developing a basic practice of diet, exercise, sleep, right? So that when you do get triggered by anxiety and stress, you minimize that so there's less triggers. And then if you do, you have an emergency plan. You know what I mean? A lot of times it's a program, like 12-step program like AA. It might be a support group like Aftergain, which is just now getting launched. So, I apologize to people who are waiting in the wings. If you're waiting and you haven't seen it come online, then pick up the phone and call me and, donate some of your time to help get the project launched. We're just a couple weeks away from getting the web platform up. And then right now we're starting regular phone calls. And so we can get you on that list. Just need you to call, email, and ask to be part of it. But it will be growing and it's going to be amazing. What that is people will be able to log in, become a member, and be able to put up their profile. Whether they've done Ibogaine or not, it's not important. But it is a place for people after Ibogaine to go tell their story so that people that either are considering Ibogaine or want to work in the field of therapy with plant medicines have an opportunity to work with people that have come out of treatment, because there aren't very many of them in the big scope of people getting
there's not
PTSD treatment. There aren't very many people that have done Ibogaine. So I'd like to get them in a group where the therapists. I've been going to a lot of conferences, right? I go to the psychedelic sciences. I went to addiction recovery treatment clinic conferences all over the country. And I went to LAMPS this past week, when that is the LA Medicinal Plant Society. It's a private Facebook page. If you want on, you're going to have to call or email me. But they're going to be doing their own psychedelic conference in February, I believe, at USC. And these are all doctors and clinicians and therapists, psychiatrists and psychologists.
People in the medical community.
Right, that want access to these patients. Well, I have access to them.
Yeah.
So they're really eager for this to get up so that they can actually put their own profile up. And then as somebody who's seeking to work with a therapist could be offering their story as payment for the treatment from, possible one-on-one group therapies, different processes offered by all kinds of practitioners. So that's the idea. But the main thing is that you can go online and create your own self-help group. So if you're a female that started using because of sexual trauma and you wanted to have a weekly group with people that understood your story, just females. You would create your own like AA, but it would be your program, and only people that you wanted into the group could be in that group. You would have your own week. You would have a sponsor like AA has, so we would give you a not a coach, but basically an accountability person that when you get out of treatment, you would have somebody that you talk to on a regular basis that could, ask you, are you doing what you put into your recovery plan, that thing that your emergency plan for when you get out of treatment, what are you going to do if you get triggered? What is going to happen if the idea to use comes up? And if you're in community, if you're attending regular meetings, whether they be online or in person, if you have an accountability coach, if you're being of service, if you're working a program, chances of, relapse go down, considerably. I truly believe the patients that now are coming for several weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and are doing more than just Ibogaine, they're doing Ayahuasca, are 70% looks to me like are staying sober and staying connected, and really, really excited about the results. As I said, we do have a caller coming in here in about 2 minutes. Paul's going to tell his story. I think that it is important that people that are considering Ibogaine go back and listen to the various shows that have been produced with the different people that have had different experiences. Because if you can't relate to 1 or 2 or 10, soon enough we're going to have 15, 20, 30 individual experiences, communicated here.
Absolutely, and some of those stories are just amazing.
Can relate.
Yeah,
and you realize, oh my God, maybe this will help me too.
Some of those stories really are amazing.
Right.
I mean, the journey they got to get there.
What's that?
The journey that it took them to get there, and then obviously what happened after they got treatment.
Yeah, I mean, this is not isolated to any culture, any socioeconomic status.
No, absolutely not.
Any of that. It's anybody and everybody suffers from some form of separation, which I believe is the primary cause to be able to become chemical dependent on substances that pretty much ruin your life. We've talked, I think, on several of the shows about the study about the rat, that if you give them, a bottle of regular water and then a bottle of water with cocaine in it, that the rats are going to do the cocaine until they die. And what they don't tell you is that study was done with the rat alone in a cage.
Right, without any other interaction.
Stimulation, separated from its community. You put that same rat in a beautiful setting, like in a rat utopia with everything. They may try the cocaine. Very few try it more than once or twice, and none of them would do it to the point of death. So what it shows us is that on the lowest level, community is a key indication. If you feel connected, that you'll never really be able to fall into it. If you start doing the cocaine and the rat thing, they don't lock you up in prison and put you in with a bunch of users and call you a name. So you wonder why our community and our society, that's what happens. Once you've been labeled an addict, man, and you've been institutionalized and you've been labeled and you got a rap, you're fucked. I'm sorry, man. You to break out of that. And it's really good that now politicians like Christie are starting to acknowledge that the way that we treat addicts is like treating somebody with cancer as if they did something wrong.
Exactly.
And, hopefully we're about to break that paradigm. During this next several months, years, it's going to take, we're just going to keep helping people that are lucky enough to hear about Ibogaine, push past the fact that it's illegal, push past the fact that there is some risk involved with it, and actually step into doing or starting a healing process. That Ibogaine is just a window of opportunity to start a healing process. It is not a cure for addiction. And like many other substances.
Hello. And there we go. We've got our caller. So yeah. Hold on just a sec. Let Tyson finish his thought real quick. Paul, thanks.
So whether it's Ibogaine, Ayahuasca, or any other psychedelics, it doesn't even have to be something like that. There's going to be some thing that triggers you to shift, and it's going to need to happen with help in community and a lifestyle change.
You can't do it.
Talk a little bit about that with the caller.
You can't do it by yourself. No man is an island.
No, there are ones and twos out there in very small numbers.
Exception, not the rule.
They are by far the rare exception to the rule.
So, Paul, is it Paul?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Paul, thanks so much. You're on air, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. How you doing?
Fabulous. And yourself?
Good. Yeah, I'm doing wonderful.
Thanks for calling.
Sure.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, Tyson. How are you?
I also am doing wonderful. Really glad you were able. I know
That's
it's late
awesome.
there. Paul's on the East Coast. He's a working man. You want to tell us a little bit about where you're from and maybe start with, what it was like before you did Ibogaine.
Well, I'm from Staten Island, New York. And in a nutshell, things become a rat race. The same thing. And, your drugs come before everything else. And I just got to a point where I was tired of it.
How'd you get into drugs? By the way, you're going to have like 30, 45 minutes, so you don't have to rush it. So you want to just tell a little bit about how you got into it.
You got plenty of time.
What, into painkillers?
I guess. Did you start with other drugs? Was it, painkillers?
No, I was really just the painkillers, the Roxys. And I got hurt, and I used them, and I got hooked on them. In a nutshell, it's really no other reasons, but that's pretty much how it went down. I hurt my shoulder at work. I got a surgery done, and my doctor gave them to me, and that was that. I was on it for a long time. They helped in the beginning, but then they trap you in the end.
Yes, indeed.
You get caught up in it, and you don't even realize you're caught up in it until, you may not have something to take. And it's a pretty, it's dark. It's dark and scary. It's not a good feeling.
No, it's not.
But there's not much I really could get into about, that, but, in the end, it was nice to know that I had, the help of Tyson and Ibogaine University, to help me with what I needed to do to get my life back. And
how did you find out about Ibogaine and then what was the process? Because I know the first couple of times we talked, you were like watching, not just you, but other people, friends having problems. You were able to actually kind of maintain your business, but you felt like that was about to go. So maybe kind of clue us into how you got to me the very first time.
A friend of mine had done it a couple of years prior. He told me about it, and I kind of, was just like, okay, no, that sounds good, but I didn't really, chase after it. And then one day, I didn't talk to him for a while. Then one day he calls me and he tells me, like, bro, listen, you got to go do it. And then it just kind of clicked in me to research it. And he actually sent me to you, Tyson, to your place. And, after we spoke a few times, kind of getting everything settled, I came down. Good trip. The best people. I wouldn't recommend anywhere else to go. You're treated like family. No one looks down on you. The people are good, smart. They know their business. And a lot of people have been there, so they know exactly what you're going through, and they know how to help you through it. And so with that coming down, it wasn't a bad trip. And then when I actually did the ayahuasca, the Ibogaine, I'm sorry, that was an amazing trip in itself. That was probably the best experience of my life.
Wow.
So much to the point where I want to do it again. I definitely want to do it again. And, you know, I've been clean since, you know, I did the Ibogaine and the Ayahuasca. And the combination of the two, to me, they work hand in hand with each other. You know, they're two powerful medicines that really set you right back to where you need to be, set you back to, like, you know, a rebirthing at your age.
Do you mind sharing, sort of the way it worked for you about the first time and then the second time? Is that okay?
No, that's fine. No problem.
Yeah, because I know that, you kind of knew what you did wrong. Like, you came and you had an experience. Maybe share your first experience and then what happened and, about sending.
Well, I think my first experience was with the Ibogaine itself was a better experience. You know, I enjoyed the way everything played out. You know, for me to go through into details of what happened in my journey it's a little vague at this point. You know, that was a while ago. You know, but very vivid dreams. I didn't really see any visions, open eye visions. I just kind of went through it. And then one of my favorite parts was waking up the next morning after the Ibogaine, the mind effect wears off. I had an incredibly clear head, meaning that if your mind and body just hit a wall and just stopped completely, that's what it was. There was no thoughts, no concerns, no worries, no thinking of anything. I had to tell myself to get out of the bed in the morning because it wiped me that clean. And then when I returned back to the facility where we were all staying, I was glowing. I was extremely happy, radiant. I never felt that good in my life. Then, sometimes the Ibogaine, it lingers, and the effects that it has on you, I took those effects home with me sometimes, like anxiety, the not sleeping, high heart rate. My heart was really racy, which, I kind of panicked in the moment is why, I went back, is what made me relapse again. Not that I wanted to even do it at that point, but I just wanted to feel normal. I wanted that to go away because it almost felt like withdrawals in a sense. So, I did that and I kind of got right back into it. And then I planned to come back, 6 months later. And when I came down, I stayed for 2 weeks. And I did the Ibogaine and the Ayahuasca and also DMT. DMT is cool. I enjoyed that too.
You did 5-MeO
it's all
DMT. DMT is not legal in the States or Mexico, but it is, 5-MeO is legal. So 5-MeO is what you did.
Okay. And, I did that the first time also. And it was a realization, like, the first time to me was like a flashback of childhood to where I am. And then the second time was a little more, how can I say? It was more of a realization. It was a kind of like two different heads, but on the same thing. It was cool. And then the Ayahuasca was another trip in itself. That was awesome. To me, I look at Ayahuasca as a master cleanse for the body. And if you ever do it or if you ever have done it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You purge, you throw up, you do number 2, and you're really doing it a lot. Like, it's totally cleansing out your body. So with the Ibogaine that resets your body and the Ayahuasca that cleanses it, to me, they work hand in hand because even after the first night I did Ayahuasca, I was able to fall asleep on my own with no help of any kind. And then the second night was the same deal. And then when I went home, it's been the same way, since I've been home. There's no possible way that's known of now to detox any faster than that in 2 weeks to where you're pretty much back to normal. There's no comparison to here in the States. I have friends of mine that went to rehab and they're stuck. They're still, getting high. They're still acting the same way. I don't think these places are geared the right way, you know. I mean, and I do research. I watch videos about Ibogaine, its medical things, where it started and whatnot. And I just think it's a miracle to people who are afraid to detox on their own or afraid to go through those withdrawals. Because, you know, I have family members that go to Narcotics Anonymous, and they'll tell me how people take 6 months to a year to get a decent night's sleep, which to me is incredible. I can't imagine that, especially that I work every day. There's no way I could imagine not sleeping for 6 months, or not sleeping comfortably even, you know, at best for 6 months. So that's really what deterred me. And the statistics, you know, of, you know, 4 to 5 times per person before, you know, for rehab before they actually get it right. You know, that's crazy. You know, that's just not taking care of the people here. You know, I wish there was a way to really move it forward here, you know, in the States, or, you know, I'd love to be a part of it. That's how much I believe in it. It worked for me. I can't see it not working for anybody else.
You're doing it now by telling your story, and you know, the most important thing is to get back, get to work, and get some, you know, habit formed without, you know, the behavior and the substances, and get grounded, and then, you know, reaching out, you know, trying to do a little bit to help the brother, right, and the sister that's still struggling. So I believe that soon enough there might be a few calls, you know, you can make for me to go reach out to people, and, you know, people in the area that need to talk to somebody, and you'll be, you know, on my list, obviously.
Oh, believe me, anybody that I know that could really benefit from it, I've reached out to them plenty times. You know, I even have one guy I work with that he just went back to rehab for the 4th time in about a year and a half, maybe 2 year period. And, you know, before he was going, I told him, I said, bro, you got to go do what I did. You got to do the Ibogaine and the Ayahuasca. 2 weeks, you'll be back to normal, you know. And I don't know what stops people. But to me, the hardest part of that is trying to explain to someone who hasn't done it, is trying to explain to them what it is.
Right.
You know, they don't know what it is, and you really can't explain. You know, the best explanation you can give to someone is, did you ever trip on shrooms? Because it's, you know, way more intense, but similar. You know, it's similar, but it's way more intense. The body effect. You know, it's nothing that you could ever explain to anyone to make them truly understand what it's like to use Ibogaine. You can't explain it, or ayahuasca, or 5-MeO-DMT. You know, you can't explain to people. You can only tell them, you know, what it does, but you can't explain to them what it's like to go through it, because they can't understand, you know. But I just let people know that it was the best experience of my life. You know, and the best thing I've ever did for myself.
Comparing it to the others, the ayahuasca, the psilocybin, any other psychedelic that can give you, you know, a similar experience, regardless of how intense they might be and how many, you know, personal epiphanies and breakthroughs you might get using the psychedelic. You're going to wake up the next day and you're going to be in withdrawal if you don't take opiates. That's, if you're opiate dependent, then that's the one major difference, is that it resets the receptor sites associated specifically with opiates. But it also seems to be equally effective in dealing with the receptor sites that drive us in compulsive behaviors that fuel alcoholism, methamphetamine addiction, you know, these other, you know, substances and behaviors, which we don't necessarily see post any other psycho-spiritual, plant-based, or ritual-based experience like a sweat lodge, you know. All with benefits, with value. Each with, like the ayahuasca, like you said, the fact that it's more of a detox body, cleanse and detox, the puking and the purging. It kills parasites. It works on cleansing the organs, and it's a much more feminine energy. You know, the Ibogaine, masculine, very stark, very honest. here's the problem, you're it, stop the behavior, or here's what it's going to end up like, and the ayahuasca is much more of a like, let me heal you, hold you, nurture you, love you. And, the two together sort of, they complement each other for sure.
They work hand in hand. Yeah, they work hand in hand. That's why when we spoke on the site, Tyson, I told you got to try to tell people that you have to do both, because that would even increase a great already percentage of people, who don't, who are addicted.
Yeah, and look, man, it is. We're talking about things that while you can get them on, internet markets and do them yourselves, I would absolutely never suggest doing any of these substances without doing them with a trained professional, even medical oversight if you can afford it. And I know some people are dying, they can't. They just got to go get it, and they got to take their chance, and they tried to withdraw. So I don't know what to say about that financial dilemma, that barrier. But what I will say is that there are some concerns specifically with 5-MeO-DMT and ayahuasca. And ayahuasca has a long half-life, so you should not mix ayahuasca with 5-MeO-DMT. There's been some reported deaths specifically to the combination. And because of the half-life, if you do ayahuasca, it should be several days before you do 5-MeO, and definitely don't mix them. And because 5-MeO is very quick, it should be several hours based on the way, the pharmacology of it before you should do ayahuasca. But again, I wouldn't suggest doing any of them on your own. They should all be done with, professionals who have worked with the medicines, and, with Ibogaine, absolutely with medical oversight, with pre-screening.
Yeah, you have to. There's no, it's very unsafe, for you to try to do it without medical supervision would be very foolish, because, anything can happen, and you need professionals around you, because if something happens when you're doing that, you're not really in control. You're not in control of yourself at all when you're going through Ibogaine. You can barely stand up.
You imagine doing Ibogaine alone in your apartment, it starts to hit full blast 2 hours into it, and you're alone.
No. I'll tell you what, that's like I was listening to the show, and the guy called in and told the show that he ordered it online and did it, which I thought was very foolish. One wrong move with that, because it's very strong, you could really hurt yourself or possibly kill yourself.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to me, the way I look at it is, for the amount of money that you're spending to do the Ibogaine, I would spend that in 2 to 4 weeks. That same amount of money would be spent on drugs. So to me, it's a no-brainer. And to anyone who really wants to help themselves or has truly reached that breaking point where they feel they're done, but they need the help to get through, the Ibogaine is the best way. It's the fastest way you're going to get back to life. Not suffering to a detox or, getting put on Suboxone or Methadone. It's disgusting what they do. They take you off of one drug and put you on another. Well, what's the point of that?
Were you on Suboxone or Methadone ever?
I'm sorry?
Were you ever on Suboxone or Methadone?
No, you know what? I would take them in an instance where I couldn't get my hands on Roxy's. That would be it, just to hold me over. I was never on them, because I didn't really like. First of all, I didn't really like what the Roxy's were doing to me once I realized what was going on. And the Suboxone and Methadone, they're even worse. They're even worse for you. To anybody who's listening, the Suboxone are even worse for you. And Methadone and anything, I mean, you got to look at it like this. If you're hooked on one drug, what are they giving you to get you off of it? It's going to be, has to be just as strong, if not stronger. So I don't agree with the way things are done here. I think if Ibogaine was made available, it's criminalized here because it works. That's the way it works in this country. Anything that helps you, they're always trying to shove a script in your hand before you leave the doctor. It helps with one thing and whacks 10 other things, and it hurts 10 other things about you.
Absolutely.
When with all natural things. Ever since I found Ibogaine, period, I've been looking more into natural this and natural that. And from what I see, or what I believe is that no matter what's going on this earth, there is something to cure it or take care of it. You know, if you have, you know, diabetes, then there's truly a cure, a natural cure, a natural vitamin or supplement that will take care of it. But you'll never be told that here. That's what's wrong with this country. They don't take care of their own people. And it's disgusting, you know. I mean, there's methadone centers all over the place, you know. You'll probably find that faster or easier than a supermarket. You know, it's just ridiculous. But that's a whole other subject. But I got to say, for me personally, the best experience of my life, you know, the first time, like I said, it was like being reborn at my age. The second time as well, it's like you get that whole cleansed feeling. It's like your body's renewed. You feel like you're reborn. That's, in one word, that's the best way I think to put it. It's like being born again at your age. You know, it's fascinating. How it works is it's great. It's crazy, but it's great, man. It's definitely a great experience. You know, and to have something this good to me come out of something that I was doing bad, you know, is, you know, it's kind of like the cherry on the cake. You know, I always sum it up easy, and you know that's the best way to put it to me is, you know, just the best experience you'll ever have in your life, because you learn, you realize things, and then even while you're there and, you know, you're not actually doing the medicine, you know, you're talking to good people who know, people who've been there, you know, and just very smart in the field of addiction. You know, I couldn't ask to be sent to a better place, truthfully. And for the kind of money you're spending, like I said, it's a drop in the bucket compared to what you'd be spending, the time you're spending, the money you're spending. You know, it's all a waste of time and money. You know, I'm just glad I realized it before I woke up and I was 50 years old.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but that's, you know, and to me, you know, I'm at a point now where I look back at that and I say that was just a phase, you know, a phase of something I was doing, because nowadays, you know, I'm clean since what, February 6th? No, a few months, and I don't have any desire. I don't even think about them anymore. It's like it's over and done with. And I'll be honest with you, I don't run a program in my life. I don't go to NA. I don't go to AA. I don't go to any meetings of any kind. I just got back to my life and focusing on all the messes that I made while I was using, you know, to clean them up and then be able to move forward with my life.
So a very, very powerful statement you just made, because, you know, whether or not you find that you get some, you know, healing and purpose and feel, so get some resolution through community, like in AA, but the fact that you went back to clean up the wreckage of your past, so those energetic charges and relationships that were unresolved based on behavior, really is important to make amends and to clean that up so you don't have that weighing on you energetically. Is that what you found also, that there was some part of you that just intuitively knew that that's what you needed to do? How'd that happen? Was it me banging it in your head?
Well, just, yeah, no, you know what, like I said, it's funny because to me it's like it's just over and done with. It's, you know, I'm just moving on with my life now. It's really, to me, that simple. You know, because growing up, I was never a drug addict. I didn't have a drug addict mentality. You know, it wasn't me. You know, so that's why I say when my situation is simple. You know, I got hurt, I took pills, I got hooked. You know, that's pretty much in a nutshell what got me where I was. You know, but no matter what, I mean, you're not going to detox yourself off that stuff. I know guys who try it all the time still, and they're very unsuccessful. It's just too much, you know. So if you get the proper help and you really want to help yourself, you know, the money may be an issue, but if you really want to do it, you're going to find the money to do it, just like you find the money to get high.
Yeah, we're working on that, trying to find some resources for people. We do have a crowdfunding platform now where people can, you know, start, you know, their own crowdfunding campaign and send emails out to people and raise money for their own treatment. We're doing Bitcoin. There's just, we're doing everything we can to help people. But, our operation, and then, we're not the most expensive. We're not the least expensive. I believe we're the most comprehensive, though. When it comes to really, not holding any punches. We throw everything at it, and we'll keep you as long as we have to. Obviously, we got to have resources to pay for the treatment. But.
Well, you know what, too? Let me not forget to include that, you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner cooked for you, your room straightened up, your laundry done if you'd like. You get waited on hand and foot, and, for where you are and what you're receiving for what you're paying, it's a no-brainer. It really is. It's that simple. And if someone really wants to help themselves, they're gonna find the money to do what they got to do, just like I did. And I even said my wife. My wife was another case where we were getting high together, and she had to go do it too. I went and did it. Then she came and did it, and it was a little rougher for her, given her circumstances against mine. But in the end, everything worked out to where we're both clean. We're not hooked on that garbage anymore. That's all it is, garbage.
She got a lot out of her treatment. I know you did too, but she had some other issues that were pretty much sort of chronic issues that seemed to be really helped dramatically by the medicine. Did she do Ibogaine and Ayahuasca, or was she only able to do Ibogaine?
She only did the Ibogaine, but she wants to do the Ayahuasca, and that's, when we come back down there, because we will be back down there, we could do that. Maybe she could do the Ayahuasca. I want to do Ibogaine again. I love doing that.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's value in doing it again. Deeper introspection, additional reset. I'm working with and dealing with a lot of people investigating microdosing Ibogaine for various issues. So, again, we don't have money for research. I'm working with certain organizations like LAMPS, where I'm in and around psychologists, doctors, therapists. So hopefully we're bringing that community together with the people that are finding their way to my clinic and other clinics, and we'll be able to get the two together so that we can start getting more evidence-based, protocols. Until then, it's just, my experience of working with hundreds of people and the many years of one-on-ones. But I believe that we've come up with, because you came once and then you came back and did it again in that very short time of almost a year, was it, between treatments?
About 6 months, from August to February.
Okay, yeah. So we had grown and made some pretty profound changes, and you got to see sort of, our Ibogaine Ayahuasca 2.0. We're at 4.0 now, I guess.
Yeah, they got, to me, they work hand in hand. It's like they almost have to be done together, because, you could still, the way I think about it is, when you do the Ibogaine and it resets your receptors, your body is still very toxic. Your body's holding toxins for however long you were getting high. So to do the Ayahuasca and have it clean all of it out of you, it's just, that's the second miracle. Where Ibogaine's the first, that's the second one. It's definitely a good combination to do together. I would advise anyone who attempts to do one, do the other, because they really work hand in hand.
Yep.
And not to mention all the health benefits, of being cleansed out like that. You got, 30, 40, 50 years of abuse to your body, breathing the air, whatever kind of work you do, all that's taken right out of you.
Well, yeah, good point, because how many people around the globe are finding ayahuasca now and going and using it for, cleaning out all of the mental crap and all the physical stuff in your bodies. So we have that, whether you are, opiate addicted or alcoholic or suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. So the benefits are, just too many to count, and everybody's a little bit different. So, it's just an option, to just do ayahuasca. we're not really geared for that. But I encourage anybody, thinking, plant medicine might be something that could help them to pick up the phone and call. And then, if you hear Paul here and something he says resonates with you, and, it could be the very thing that makes a difference in you going and getting the help you're looking for. So really appreciate you taking the time to call in, Paul. I know it's late there, so I don't want to take too much more of your time. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just again, the best experience that anyone's going to have to come off of any addiction they're having. And I recommend it. I recommend going to do that way more than going to a rehab here in the States, because it's just way, your success rate or chance is way better than you would find here. There's no comparison, and it's natural, so.
Give my love to the missus.
Absolutely, Paul.
Anything you want to add, Walt?
Yeah, well, I was going to say that, you got the double whammy, Paul, is not only you got cleaned out, but you got your life back, but you got your wife back, and you got your marriage back. And that's something that's going to change you guys for the rest of your lives. And you have each other to support. And you're right, it's all natural. And what one spends on doing drugs, they can do the program, get free, get cleansed, move on. Yeah.
Well, you know what, too, I see real quickly, a lot of people that I met there, they were sent there by family or someone. I had to send myself. I had to send my wife. I had to pay for everything. So, listen, if I could do it, if you reach that point where you really want to do it, you're going to do it, and you're going to find a way to do it. And you'll get a great experience, too. There's not even a question of that.
Yeah, I agree. So thanks so much for staying up. Thanks for calling. Thanks for being a part. I'm sure we'll have you guys back. And the Aftergain aspect. And you God bless and take care.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Paul.
Have a great night.
Thanks so much for calling.
Peace and blessings, brother.
Peace and blessings. Namaste.
You're welcome. I will, Tyson. Bye-bye.
All right, brother. Right on, man. I love it. I love the story where a guy is working hard, not a traditional, like he says, I'm not an addict. That wasn't his story. He'd been in and around it. You can't grow up in these times and not be around it and see where there's a certain segment of society, whether it's immediate or over time, that eventually the drugs are going to get to you and you're going to fall apart because of that addict mentality.
And he wasn't even an addict. I mean, he had an accident. He had pain pills. They took him off it. He didn't have any choice. So I mean, he was. I hate to use the word a victim, but something happened, and here he is in this situation.
I mean, he absolutely has a legal case against whoever it is that prescribed him those drugs and the companies that brought them, to the market and are continuing to bring them to the market.
Well, I believe there's some legislation that's been passed that he can't do that.
And there isn't a resource provided right now. If you have insurance and you called them up and told them you were opiate addiction, they would send you to a doctor who would prescribe you Suboxone, Subutex, or Methadone.
Yeah, more medication, more drugs. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's why it's being chastised. This program and this cure has been under a lot of heat, is because it does work and it challenges the whole pharmaceutical situation, which is a topic for another show.
Well, it's also like some of the clear cures and drugs that help cancer.
Yes.
1 out of 4 people
absolutely
has cancer in our Western society. I mean, that's crazy.
Yes.
You know what I mean? How many people are dying of overdoses? 59,000 deaths in 2016 from addiction, from overdoses, right?
Right.
And the majority of those are prescription drugs, not heroin.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And they're trying to.
And I believe it's the third or the fourth leading cause of death is. Do you know what that is?
I think it's the fourth. And they're trying to regulate supplements. And I'm not saying supplements are be all.
Do you know what the fourth one is?
You just mentioned it.
The number one is overdose. Number one cause of accidental death, which used to be car accidents, right? So
yes.
I believe it's now overdose, car accidents, Not sure what the third one, but I think it's like the third or fourth one is. Guess what that is? Going to see a doctor.
Getting medication and going to see a doctor.
No, going to the medical institution, going to a hospital, going to a doctor.
Yeah.
The treatment or whatever they prescribe is the fourth leading cause of death in our country. And, there's unfortunately, some really profound, evidence-based backstory that talks about, the pharmaceutical companies and how they established the medical institution through universities, and that if without funding, you're not going to get the medical are funding the research, and if you come up with a cure for Alzheimer's, then they're going to buy it because they got the money to buy it, and then they're going to stop the research and put it on a shelf.
Yep. Every time.
Darn it if I didn't say I'm not going to make this show about, because I'm not trying to fight anybody. What I really want to do is help educate on the truth about Ibogaine and its efficacy, hopefully break down some barriers of misinformation and fear, and, bring out a lot of as many stories as I can. Hopefully somebody different every other week right now until we can go back to every week. Somebody different that can tell their story so that we get enough people until you hear your story.
Well,
you say, maybe I can get the help I need.
There are options. There are a lot of options, more than what is being told and what we've been led to believe. And that's really what this is. It's an option that actually has a very, very high success rate and is a whole lot cheaper than some programs that don't have half the success rate that this does if you follow the program.
Right on. Well, I know we only got a few minutes left,
yes.
So I want to go, we started out talking about the different ways that we can, manage and deal with anxiety and, other issues. And another one, holding it up, can't read it. This is hemp oil, CBDs. It is legal in all 50 states. This is all organic. It's made with nano-lipo emulsion, which makes it 100% bioavailable. It's an amazing product. We all have an endocannabinoid system that basically helps with cellular communication, helps with inflammation. Taking this, everybody should be taking it. Not everybody has amazing results. I take it daily. I don't feel a profound difference. Definitely helps with sleep. And it is a little bit of a crutch. Like if I feel crappy, I'm like, I can go take my hemp oil. And it does give you a nice calming feeling pretty instantaneously. Goes into your system right away. The website for that, by the way, guys, is feelinggood.primemybody.com. And that's feeling good without a G, FEELIN .GOOD. No, feelinggood.primemybody.com. If you have any problems with it, just pick up the phone and call me. And I think, Walt, you're going to now sort of guide me. Are you going to ask me some more questions, or what do we do now?
Well, actually, we're done. And if they want to call you for information on how to learn about what we've been talking about for the last hour, what's the best way to get a hold of you? And Ibogaine Institute.
Cell phone directly, 310-467-6783. Call or text.
One more time.
Right now, I am working on many different projects. Aftergain.com should be live. And we switched over from Ibogaine University to Ibogaine Institute.
Ibogaine Institute.
So, IbogainEinstitute.com. It's a full spectrum healing center that offers Ibogaine, Ayahuasca, 5-MeO, 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 30-day programs. We have sweat lodges, isolation tank, acupuncture, yoga, qigong, family constellations therapy, one-on-one therapy, individual groups. And it's nice to be right on the ocean because I believe the ocean is extremely healing and powerful.
Yes, it is.
So to be able to walk out your front door and be on the ocean is a huge benefit to the healing process.
So one more time, your telephone number is?
310-467-6783.
And you want to give an email address just for fun, Tyson at?
I do, and I'm going to apologize. I should know this by now. I've got so many different emails. The email at Ibogaine Institute is either Tyson@IbogaineInstitute.com or Tyson Elliott with it, which is Elliott spelled with 2 L's and 2 T's, ELLIOTT. So Tyson Elliott at IboganeInstitute.com. So again, you have any questions or problems with getting a hold of me in that way, pick up the phone and call me.
And you have been listening to Global Recovery Today, heard every Wednesday or every other Wednesday here at Universal Broadcasting Network, UBN Radio. You can watch us live at ubnradio.com on Channel 1. You can find us on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and, of course, here at UBN Radio. We will have another fabulous show and guest next time. But if you want to know more, highly encourage you to just get some information and get educated on the option that's really, really is successful and works. And I think part of the problem is a lot of people don't believe how successful it is. I mean, we just had Paul on who said, hey, it's a phase of my life. I went to the program. I had to go do it one more time, but I'm done. I've been free with no cravings for months. And some feel it's too good to be true, but in reality, it's not. So get the facts and contact Elliott.
You may find some people that went out and did Ibogaine that are still using, but there aren't many of them. And there are even less people that go out and did it, even the ones that are still using, that say it didn't change your life for the better.
Absolutely.
But most people, even if they go back and experience a small or slight relapse, will eventually be off the substances, and they'll attribute the reason why they're able to transcend that addiction or obsession is because of the medicine work they did. But I will tell you that no matter what the long-term end result of it is that what's going to help with quality of life in the healing process is going to be self-love. So please take care of yourself, love yourself, figure out a way on a daily basis to honor yourself first and love yourself. And I believe you will find that you get better, and that, it may drive you into the arms of people that can help you. So hopefully that's the case.
I couldn't say any better. So thanks for tuning in, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for liking. And thanks for being involved. Until next time, I'm your host, Walt Lusk, with Tyson Elliott. God bless everyone.
Peace and blessings.